It's April of 2021, and I haven't been up too long. Yesterday, I went and got a pizza at Kids Kingdom, which is formerly known as the Family Arcade. If you want to get to the pizza review, go to the timestamp in the description below, because I'm going to do quite a bit of rambling about the arcade, because I want to try and explain why the pizza is more than just a pizza. For those of you who have never been to the Family Arcade, I'm going to try and give you a visual of what it was like in its prime. For those of you who have, if you're from Hardin County, you most likely have been there at some point. Prepare to go down memory lane. I'm going to try and describe it at its peak. You pull into a gravel parking lot, and all you see is this white building made out of like concrete blocks, and you have two ways to go inside, through the back entrance or through the front. I'm going to kind of visually take you through the front. You open the door to a haze of cigarette smoke, and welcome to the jungle blasting. To the right, you have your Nintendo and Super Nintendo game rentals. You look around and you see other video games like arcade machine games, pinball machines, pool tables, at one point an air hockey table. To your left are VHS rentals. You know, that's where you go get some movies. If you walk up to the counter, you can get a snack. He had a bunch of different kind of candy bars. You get what was really, really good fountain sodas. There were some people that I swear to God all but lived there. If you went there, there were certain people you were going to see. I'm not going to name them, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's just they were the true Arcadians, so to speak. And at that counter where you would go and get a soda or a candy bar, if you wanted to get that, there would be Lloyd Smith, who owned the place, sitting there smoking a Marlboro Red, taking orders and dishing out quarters. He was the nicest guy ever. That's where you'd, take your dollars, your dollar bills, and get quarters for the games. He'd take your pizza order. He'd get you your snack, whatever. This place was just a staple of growing up in Rosiclare, and I usually went once a week to play games. I get quarters, I go play games, and then usually take home one of the pizzas, which we're now going to get to. You see, these pizzas are more than just a pizza for not only me, for other people. I'm not the only person that drives like an hour to get one. I mean, they're a real nostalgia piece. When I think of the 80s and 90s, one of the only pizzas that really comes to mind is the arcade pizza. I've had pizzas from St. Louis, Chicago, New York, you name it, and none of them are as good as this, as far as I'm concerned. I know people who, they don't live in Hardin County anymore, but when they go back, they usually try to make it a point to get one of those pizzas. They're just that good. And you'll see here in a little bit what I'm talking about. Anytime I get one of these pizzas, it's like going back in time. And I think that's why they continue to be successful, other than the fact that they are really damn good. And I remember when Lloyd decided to retire. I'll never forget this, because I drove down there on a Friday just to get a pizza from there. And I think that was the time I told him, I live in Marion now. I drive an hour just to come get one of these pizzas. And he basically thanked me, and once told him who I was. He didn't remember me at first, but then I think he remembered who I was. And I remember that Monday, I got a Facebook message from one of my friends saying, "Dude, the most delicious part of our childhood's gone. The arcade's closing." I'm like, "What?" And he said, "Yeah." And I was like, "Shit, I was just there. I've got to go get a pizza. I wasn't seriously going to buy 2 or 3 of them and freeze them." And that was like at noon. And he said, "Man, he's already like selling out of everything. He's running out of supplies." And I was like, "Oh no." And thankfully, the place is now owned by a new family, and they have carried the torch on. It was, I'd liken it to finding out that, you have a failing organ and a donor came through just in the nick of time. I personally think that the city ought to do something to commemorate Lloyd Smith. And I mean that sounds silly, but he was a genuinely good person. I know of sometimes a family might not be able to afford food, and he would give them a pizza to feed the family. I know if I'd rent a Nintendo game and didn't like it, now this only happened a couple times, it's really like the game, I'd take it back, like, I don't really like this, and he'd be like, "Well, go ahead and get another one for the night." The man, aside from his kind deeds like that, he gave us so many memories, and gave us this wonderful pizza that still lives on, and he was just a staple of the community to me. And I think they ought to name a day in celebration of him, or the street where the arcade's at, rename it after him. I don't know what the street's called. Hell, it might be Smith Street. I don't know. I don't know. It's my hometown, and I know like 2 street names. I remember the first Nintendo game I ever rented there was Jaws, because I got my Nintendo for Christmas in 1987, and my grandpa was like, the arcade, would you shut up? They have Nintendo games to rent, and first thing I saw was Jaws, something kind of horror based, and that's what I had to get. Countless memories. I'm going to shut up now, and we'll get to the pizza. Thank you to the Ratliff family for carrying the legacy on and keeping the pizza alive. We're going to get to the review, and I'll tell you what I think about it now and compare what it's like now to what it was like back then. And this is it. Look at it. You'll see what's underneath this cheese here in a minute. I mean, you can already tell it's pretty well loaded, but wait till I take a bite. See, look at that layer of beef under there. And it gets even thicker toward the middle. Big middle slice going in. Let's peel this back here. Yeah, look at all that. Now you know why I think Pizza Hut and these other places are a total ripoff. You don't get that much stuff anywhere else. Look at that chunk of pepper and those chunks of onion. I mean, you can tell those are actually hand cut and prepared. It's not, well, I'm guessing they are. They look like it. It's not like when you go to like any of the chain places, you get little bitty specks of shit. I mean, this is just piled full with just these dinosaur-sized helpings of vegetables and meat and cheese. It's just amazing. Hell yeah. As you've seen, it's absolutely loaded, and that is why it has completely ruined most other pizza for me. I'm not saying I don't like other pizzas, but good Lord, for what you pay for an arcade pizza, you get so much more than what you get at like Pizza Hut or even the good local ones like Gilio's Pizza here in town or Mimo's in El Dorado. I really like that pizza a lot, but it's more expensive and you don't get near as much stuff on it. I mean, you're going to pay in the ballpark of $15 for a deluxe, which is what I got. And when I lived in Marion, Illinois, and I was driving an hour down, I mean, I'm looking at around $20 in gas. So you factor in, I was paid about $35 for one of these pizzas. Yesterday, we got that deluxe I showed you, and I got a small all-meat one for my wife and 2 sodas, and that was $33 plus my 10 in gas. That was $43 for pizza, or like I used to come from there, and $35 for a pizza. I could have ate at Red Lobster, by myself for that. Like Red Lobster's, I mean, that's nothing like super fancy, but it's a bit pricier than McDonald's, and it's worth every penny of it. Now, I want to talk about what it's like now versus back whenever Lloyd was making them. There's not really a huge difference. Now, the running joke with everyone down there was always that Lloyd's pizzas were so good because of his cigarette ashes. He would smoke while he was making your pizza. He had a cigarette hanging out of his mouth. I didn't care. I know some people were like, oh, no. It never bothered me. It never bothered most people. It was always a joke that his ashes are what made it so good. Well, I got on a kick of trying to replicate the arcade pizza because this is before he closed it down. I was thinking, Lloyd's getting older. I need to figure out how to make one of these at home. And I finally realized what made it taste so good, and that he puts oregano on it, which that's probably not a huge revelation to most people, but when you go to Pizza Hut or Domino's or someplace like that, they don't season it with oregano. I'm pretty sure it was oregano because I pulled off making one at home that was really, really close to his. So to me, aside from the loaded toppings, the oregano. And whenever I try to make one of his pizzas at home, I go even more berserk with the toppings than what he did. But when it comes to the difference between Kids Kingdom and Family Arcade pizza, there's only two really come to mind. Is I don't know what they season it with, but it does not taste like Lloyd's. It tastes really, really close, and it's still good. In fact, it's still my favorite pizza. So I'm not bashing it at all by any means. Oh God. Hey, be quiet. I'm trying to talk about arcade pizza. Pug, be quiet. Oh God. So the Kids Kingdom pizza, God damn. Oh God, I can't. So the Kids Kingdom pizza, it tastes a little bit spicier. It doesn't I don't know what they're using on it. But it doesn't taste like oregano. It's just got a tad of this kind of spiciness to it. Ever so slight. Less oregano, more spicy. And it's not a bad thing. Like I said, it's now is my favorite pizza. Something has to be. and the only other difference is Loy's pizzas had a little bit more sauce on them. With everything that's packed on there, there's not a whole lot of room for sauce. And I'm not complaining that it doesn't seem like there's as much sauce as there used to be, because it's still outstanding. But, I've had discussions with people about the new pizza and the old, and everyone says it's so close. It's so close. But there's just, I don't see it necessarily a bad thing. It's just of course there's going to be a tiny bit of difference. It's not the same people making it, but it's still outstanding. I drove 45 minutes yesterday to go get that. I have no problem driving down, paying, $10-20 in gas to go get one of these things from Kids Kingdom, just like I didn't care to do that whatever Lloyd was alive. It's because of that place that I like pepperoncinis on my pizza. Now, Lloyd would always stick them like whole ones in the box with your pizza. They sliced it up and put it on the pizza, but it's just now I almost can't think of it as a real pizza without them. And last night I ate the rest of it before going to bed, and the last piece I had was this huge, massive middle slice. It was just loaded, and it makes me sad knowing that I've ate the last piece of it, and I don't know when I'm going to be going back to get another one. So my final statement on this review is going to be, if you are anywhere in the vicinity of Southern Illinois and you're in the mood for pizza, go hit up Kids Kingdom in Rosiclare. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. And to all those that work there now, and to the owners, thank you so much for keeping the pizza alive. And you guys do a phenomenal job.